Everybody stay fucking calm. Oh shit, I forgot to pin the message that nobody fucking... Okay, Glorp emotes, they're fun. Yes, and I gotta pin that. Hey Cardboardian, welcome to the stream. The hell? Whatever. I shall have a panic attack in peace. You know what, whatever, I can't really stop you, I guess, so... Makes sense. Hello, Adonis. Welcome. You guys remember the cum zone? That was a whole thing. A whole bit. I knew some people who had a large portion of it memorized. I need to, like, close this. I was watching a video, sorry. Don't worry about the amount of tabs that have open. If you caught a glimpse of that, no you didn't. No, you absolutely did not. Anyway, hi. It's this time now. So, look, RAM non-existent. I would go in Task Manager, but I kind of don't want to go in Task Manager. Well, I think if I just do this, it's fine, right? Yeah. No, I'm fine. I have at least 60% of my RAM. But yeah, okay. So I was supposed to do this breakdown like fucking on Thursday, but I literally I was gonna take a nap, and I took a nap, and then I woke up at 3 a.m. And by then I'm like, okay, well I'm not gonna stream now. It's kind of useless, so I didn't stream, and that was the story of that. Which kind of sucks for a couple of reasons. But the biggest reason being now I have to have this stream now, as opposed to having it been done on Thursday and this stream could just be like whatever, because I feel like the stream engagement is quite low whenever I do these like breakdowns, but I did 5 out of 6 of them. I can't just like not do the last one, even if I like fucking fell asleep, it do not matter. So I gotta do that, and that's what this stream is. That's this really. I honestly thought this project was way bigger, but I guess it isn't, which is fine. If anything, it's good. Because it's a really nice sounding project, and so if I did more with less, that's always a good thing. Or did I? No, yeah, I was still like. It wasn't like I had like 3 free tracks, but I had a couple. Not many. Pulling bigger numbers if you actively break it down whilst breaking it down. True. If I had a camera, I could like break it down while I'm breaking it down. I have like a headset mic. Okay. But yeah, this song, what am I doing? Mini meters. Would you like to update? No, you're funny. I want a boom mic to look like I know what I'm doing. Yeah, it's kind of so real. All right, well, cool. Like the stream if you're here, please. That would be very nice. I would very much appreciate that. And God, I'm very reluctant to get into this. I'm not used to. Call me egotistical. I'm genuinely not used to opening up stream, and it's just 3 viewers for the first 5 minutes. I'm just not used to it. So I'm like, should I keep going? Should I wait for some more people? you know, but like, fucking whatever. I gotta go to bed, but you got this. Thanks, the Harvinator. Please leave a like. I trust in you. I'll always be here in spirit. Yeah, but spirit doesn't pay the bills. Whatever. It's time for purgatory. This will, 1,000,000% this will lag. If anything, let me just like, yeah, no, it's not happening. Okay, so let me, there's surely, there has to be like a rendered version somewhere. No, there isn't. What? Is this even the finished version? No, yeah, it is. It has the selection. I think I put a rendered version in here and I just didn't save it. Okay. Top of the screen looked like a gay parade. It's very original of you. So much color. So is that all color is to you? It's fucking gay and I'm playing. Learned this fucking groove thing. Damn it, no, because it opens up in a fucking sampler. Okay. Alright. Let me just insert a track now for the sake of it. And I'm going to only have this enabled. And I'm also going to have to adjust the master so that no like unnecessary effects are playing. So, you know, I take all this shit off. This isn't doing anything. It's just a clipper. Okay, good. Okay, yeah, good. Why is the Among Us individual still crashing out 5 years later there? Sorry? I don't know what you mean. Okay, wait, where's my meters? Okay, I need to like have this one down here. Alright. Well, Kirby's ass, you say that like it's gonna be like a crazy secret. Like I didn't just drag in sounds from a Brawlhalla fucking sound pack. You, technically, you can always just open up the wave and, you know, slice up each individual sound. And then with that, kind of figure out like what purpose each sound serves. But whatever. Okay. So this breakdown will go terribly because the project will absolutely fucking lag like all the time. So that I'm like playing things very hard. And it'll lag, and I've already like with this project is very special because it's one that I actually kind of gave a shit about when I was making it. Meaning there are a number of things that I actually like had to consolidate down and render out. Which unfortunately means that like the effect chain of those things is kind of lost to time. Like some of it I would do off stream. I mean some of it is like there are like, you know, bits and pieces of like VODs of me making this that, you know, have like the drop section, but like I don't know. Either way, let's go left to right. So let's start at the beginning. Which you can't hear because I didn't enable anything. Super cool. So, the thing is I usually talk about mastering last. But if I take away the master, it takes away the entire sound. Or at least one of the effects in the master. If I just like leave it like as a clipper. It's just completely, there's no more grit anymore. It's gone. Right, so I first have to introduce a plugin, or rather talk about it for the millionth time, because the same like 3 people watch these. The bass clipper is back. Everything except like the purgatory vocal and like the drums goes there into that patcher preset. What the fuck, where am I going? Which allows it to basically the bass comes in, hits this clipper, and then it goes out the same way it came in with a little dip at 300. And it's nice. And that's that. Now, I actually automate the level of bass that comes in to that clipper at a certain point, so I only have it on for the intro. That being said, the way the intro is made, like actually, this bass, again, it's being helped a lot by the bass clipper. It does not just sound like that, you're funny. I guess it does. Okay, cool. That's nice, actually. So it's the bass that I make all the time. This wavetable, which was literally like kind of like custom made, basically. Like you would take like you would take a serum, and then you would go basic shapes in both of them, and on serum 2 it's on by default. Actually, for this one you would go where's the harmonic series? Is that like a, no, I know it's like a, is it digital harmonic series? There it is. And I guess the phases are flipped, which is kind of annoying. So you might want to start this from here. And you would basically just go up I'm gonna go down 2 octaves. Right. It would be like, see that wavetable it's creating, basically, or the waveform it's creating? That's kind of what I would do. I would just play that note, and then I'd render that out. And I'm essentially aiming for... Oh, my Wi-Fi! Oh, it's back. Okay. It's gonna be popping a little bit because it's lagging. But, like... You know, the more you increase that harmonic, the more you kind of increase stuff. So mine's like this, you know, it's a little aggressive. That just increases the sound of that fifth. It makes that sub just fatter, literally take up more space, and, you know, therefore louder sort of thing. It's louder for longer. And that's how I make that, this thing that I use all the time. So now I just have it as a wavetable. And then I just like, doing some crazy shit. I think I'm just distorting it. That's it. That's basically it, you know. That Popeye's FNAF meal still got me dead, bruh. Is it like, have you had it and is it good? I have an envelope going on the course pitch like usual. Working on the weekend like usual. You know, and then I have an envelope controlling. I haven't had it yet, but you're keen to, is what it seems like. All this mixing makes it sound less squarish, because after doing all of this, it just kind of sounds like a square, which is fine, but it kind of like, it's not dialed like a sub, like how I want it to be. The reason why I don't recommend doing this Maximus thing that I talk about, it's the fact that it exists is so funny to me. No, yeah, it's just like the concept. The reason why I don't talk about this is because like the Maximus is splitting the frequency spectrum like a couple of times to make the low, mid, and high bands, and so that kind of fucks with the phase a little bit, you know, which is essentially just changing. It fucks with the phase of the frequencies, and so the speed in which it takes for the high, mid, and low to arrive kind of changes a little bit, and it changes the shape of the waveform, which makes it quote-unquote more inefficient. All like spiky and stuff, and so that means it would be like harder to, you know, put a limiter on it. If you're looking for like, fuck off, and we're back, okay, and then it gets distorted a little bit, just a hair. And then all that 300 gets taken out, which makes it feel nice and subby. You know what I mean? And then I have like a balance, you know, just to cut the gain. Because it has like release on it and shit, so I need to cut the gain around here. And that's that. And so I kind of had an idea for an intro for like a while now, which included that. And I'm like, okay, I need to layer some shit. I'm actually very pissed that like I fucking rendered that out, but I think I have it here. Yeah. Okay. So what's happening here? Yeah, the like literally the effect chain is gone, but it's like, let me see if I can like hear it. Okay, well it just sounds like it's been kind of distorted. Or like it's all... Okay. Shut up, shut up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck... Oh my fuck. Okay. Alright, Fembread, would you mind meandering over to general for a second? Okay. Okay. Sorry, I just like kind of saw the green burger and got so confused I zoned out. Anyway, so the lead is just like a bit of attack and some supersaws. No attack at all, never mind. It's just a reverb filter and OTT. And then I just like automated in like a reverb. And it sounds like I'm using Ghetto Clip, which is, you know, my fucking tried and true. I can find it here somewhere. Limiter with no attack, release, or sustain. It sounds like that, and I just use it a lot. And then I just automate in a reverb. I damn well knew you read my message after the exhale. Exactly what I thought. I'm thinking of trying it. Seems interesting. Okay. Awesome. And I'm like, okay, we're getting somewhere. I think literally right then and there, I knew that I wanted to add the bass clipper, so I just kind of did straight away. Oh wait, why is it like not doing that? Wait, why is it not doing that? Wait, what? Am I tripping? Am I tripping? Okay. Oh, you know what? It's because this needs to be on. I see. Okay. There it is. Just an egregious amount of distortion was the goal. And that's the entire sound. And then we add some more shit. So this was a lot of sounds. So, learn, do I have... Yeah, literally. So that sound is me doing this back and forth. But I put it through a vocoder, I put it through all pass phase. I put it through a convolver to give it stereo. I did the same reverb automation. I put like a little delay on it, you can hear it. And there was a lot of processing, a lot of clipping. There some sound geysers were definitely in that chain. I wanted to incorporate, like, I had a version that was like, and just have both. But it was a little too noisy, so I ended up not going with it. But that's that sound. I just made it for the intro because I'm like, I need something color bassy. I'm very lazy, and it worked well. Super sick. And then it's vocal time. Now this is where things get a little more dynamic. As you've noticed, that's literally the entire rest of the song. It sounded super empty before, and now it suddenly doesn't. So here's what I'm doing. So there's a lot of processing going on to get it really nice and what the fuck? Okay. Awesome. Okay. There's a lot of processing happening to get it all nice and dreamy, you know. All that. So first it starts off with rendering that out and then just reversing it and then putting it before the vocal starts. You know, very, very simple, classic sort of, you know. You learn it, you start spamming it, and then you stop spamming it, but then it comes in clutch when you need it, because it's like a very like, all right, let's do this thing now, and it's like, you know the process. You open up Edison, you get to work. Right, so let's turn the effects off, or let's go one by one. So step one, there's a little bit of noise in the sample because of it's an AI split sample. So I used like Splitter like a while ago. It wasn't a Splitter algorithm specifically. It was probably some MDX net. I just kept my chapstick next to my laptop, the fan, and it is boiling hot. And if I open it, it's gonna be liquid, and I'm very annoyed that I just let that happen. So I need to like let it stand and cool down now. God damn it. Okay. Anyway, there's a little bit of noise. Noise like here. Like that silence between the vocals. That little bit of noise I kind of just want to like, you know, little noise gate. Just to kind of tighten things up a little bit. There we go. Sort of thing. Also, hi Terminator, welcome to the stream. I am breaking down Purgatory. And that's just step one, just to like get the vocal ready to like actually compress. Because if I like apply compression and shit, but there's a bunch of background noise, that background noise will also get like a huge gain lift and it'll just be fucked. So this is where most of the sound comes from, or most of my sound comes from, is this little patcher preset I made for myself, which contains everything that I use to like get a sound where I want it to be to like add nice effects to it. Or at least more or less, you know, it gets me like most of the way there. Clearly not enough by the numerous amounts of EQs, but we'll get there. Trust me, we'll get there. So I start with a single band compression. I try not to be super aggressive with it, but like, I always end up being quite aggressive with it. You know, just kind of shut up, just like kind of like chopping it off. You know, I try to keep it natural, but like I tend to go for more digital sound anyway, so like it doesn't really matter to me, and it sounds fine. A little bit of attack on there keeps like the transients of all like the consonants nice and just, you know, nice and snappy still. They're not completely squashed. And then a multi-band compression, which is basically just to glue all the high end together and bring it up. I leave the mid alone, and I usually leave the low alone as well. And this, I just bring the gain back in with the gain knob here, because I usually have the gain set really low when it enters the multiband compression because of the way that I have the way that I have the preset set. Obviously, because I'm a fucking idiot, it's just not perfect. You know, and so there's still like little quirks that I myself have to work around when I open it up. One of those being I have to gain stage for the multiband compression, which like technically I can just adjust the knobs in a way where I don't need to do any of that, but like whatever. It is the way it is, and I think it's fine. And then it goes into a bit crusher. And it goes into nothing because you can't hear it. A lot of the time, you end up with like unfavorable artifacts in the high end, and it's a little bit too harsh. And I sometimes consider just getting rid of it entirely. But you know, there are times where it actually does add a nice quality to the vocal and give it like just a bit more sauce. You know, that's what it is for the sake of sauce. Then I have something that isn't normally a part of the preset. It's a non-linear filter. as a way to distort the high ends. I gotta learn patcher fills more optimized. Well, with this, there isn't really anything to learn. This, I'm just using as this, but with a bunch of lines. You know what I mean? Like, and like you can like color it and name it and give it an icon, and then you can save the preset and then open it. What you really gotta learn is the fact that you can control F presets, like the fembread patcher. Using those keywords. For on FL24, though, the search bar is down there in the bottom left. But like that's useful for when you're in patcher, you can control F, it appears here, you can drag it in, and all that stuff. That's where the sauce comes in, but whatever. So usually when I'm like distorting the high end for vocals, like exciting the high end is what they call it. I would just use the Maximus because like the high end's kind of the high band's already split, and you know there's a saturator built in. You could just fuck with the knob, increase the post gain, decrease this, get it nice and crunchy. But I wanted to try something a bit more fucked. And so I decided to use a nonlinear filter, which distorts all the frequencies like over here and kind of creates a bit of a notch at wherever this is. And then I would take an EQ and kind of counteract that. So I'd bring all the high end back. I chose not to undo the notch because I guess I liked the character that it added. Maybe I'd like slightly subdued it here and it's like at 3K. So now it has like kind of this like blown out quality to it, which is a little like it could be unfavorable if you like give a shit about audio, but I don't. So like it's kind of whatever. But I do though. But you know, but I don't. But I do. But I don't. Like I don't know how to explain to you my relationship with mixing. But it's love hate. It's push pull. It's complicated. And I just use the built-in Maximus de-esser. Because I don't have I don't feel like fucking using Soothe. I don't care. Yeah, I don't feel like using Soothe. I don't care. And then I increase the gain. Okay, it needs to be even louder for some reason. And then I distort it a little bit. Yep. And then I EQ it because it's like fucking really loud. And now it's even louder. But then I get rid of like the really specific sort of harsh stuff with this. And then this is it. This is everything. This is everything right here. A lot of the time in my projects, I'll make these like one-off patcher presets for a very like specific sort of sound that I want. And the sound that I wanted was a good ducking reverb. It kind of sounds like the reverb gets a little louder, or rather comes back in when the speech stops, which is great. That's perfect. And this was achieved by using a couple of things. So thing one was this delay. So I'm doing a bit of a wet-dry split here, which is useful for later. Which has just a minor ducking effect. There's a very minor, subtle ducking effect. If I turn it way up, it's like... you get the gist. It's like fucked. Oh wait, does it save as like... No, for some reason on FL12 it doesn't save in my history, but on 24 you don't have this problem. Whatever. Whatever, a very slight ducking effect. Very slight ducking effect. Useful. Not to make this more drastic, what I do is I take the wet and the dry signals and I put them into a compressor. Which is what this limiter is doing. And so it's just a really it's a crazy like low threshold compressor, but like really long release, really long attack sort of thing. And you can see when the speech comes in, that reverb tail that would normally be like kind of quiet. Oh God. I should have paused it earlier. So all this like tail, it would normally just be like, you know, tapering off from the signal, but I squash it, so it's a bit of reverb and it kind of like washes in, or at least sounds like it. That's what this area is, and I just turn it up, and then you get that nice kind of like ducking reverb sound, and then I have a patcher with a singular EQ in it for some reason. I have no idea why. But I have another EQ, I guess. To undo all the high-end stuff that I did. But, like, doing all of that, combining it with all the instrumental from before, we get... And I'm using, for the bass there, I'm doing the
Who the hell is Steve Jobs?
that. I'm using that. And really quickly before I mention this, it's like it's the first thing that came to mind when I'm like, I need like a boom sort of thing, like a and I'm like, oh, just the Ligma balls. Like I've had that on my computer since, I mean, I used to make YouTube video, comedy, funny, let's play game video, fucking Minecraft videos, but on Skywars on the Hive, and so I have a lot of like meme sound effects and things. Which is useful for Daria, because I could just put shit in. Really quickly I want to mention that this vocal is not going into the bass clipper, because if it was, it would be unintelligible. And then it sounds like the distortion is like unwanted. But with a very nerdy approach, just kind of letting this go through to the master and letting everything else get with the bass clipper, you have a nice sort of dynamic sound where the vocal comes through and it's distorted ass, dreamy ass nature, but the instrumental is doing all the raunch. And it combines nicely. Now, the second part. Pretty standard build-up stuff, but there's some clever things I'm doing. Not really. I mean, okay, so the impact, I use this glass sound all the time. Shout out my homie Quincy. You know, followed by the, but at the same time as this thing. Oh. You know what I mean? And I just have claps going on 4 on the floor, reverb. It's actually a layer. I rarely do that. I'm like, let me make it a bit more of a dynamic clap layer, not just like a generic like dance clap layer. You know? With a snare build up. Right, you know, generic, standard. The bass is doing the same exact thing as before. I'm not even gonna play it, I don't care. This is doing the same thing as before, nothing's added. I added, in the lead section, some ARPs. So I just made like what I call a bullshit ARP, which is basically just a bunch of notes. Then I just like, it's nice to have a bullshit ARP because I get to just use that like points in the track where it needs an ARP. Sounds nice. It's like they're like trading notes at times, you can see. But because they're like slightly panned differently, and like kind of like it's different. You know what I mean? It's different enough, you know, and a very standard processing chain for a sound like this, where it would be the fembread. Jesus Christ, that's so compressed. Wait, how does that even happen? Single band, nothing crazy. I didn't want to go too aggressive on it. I guess because most of the sound is high frequencies, it just kind of got squashed. I could have adjusted that, but I chose not to. For some reason, I just like the sound. That's not what I'm to do. Okay, whatever. And then I bit crushed it. Ow, that actually fucking hurts. And then I EQ'd it. The fish. That also hurts. And then, does this even help at all? Fucking no. Okay, cool. And then I put an LFO tool back in because of how hard I compressed it. My dumbass. And then a delay bank. And then that's where most of the grit comes in. I put it through a non-linear filter because I love doing that. And then I just kind of rocked with that. I got rid of where it sounded like the notch was. But I didn't like put the highs back in. I just kind of liked where it sat there. And then I added in like a very like simple, just a square with some attack and some delay. But that's playing the louder song. It was not Dr. P and Flux Pavilion. I'm surely conflating. No, it was like some random. It was DJ Fresh. Is that, or am I? Or is this like, or that's like a different song, and then there's the Flux Pavilion remix of the DJ Fresh song. Whatever. I guess I don't know it off dome, and so therefore I'm fucking uncultured. You can sue me. Okay. And then the acapellas are getting a bit busier as well. As you can hear, Trippy Red makes an appearance. Okay. As you can't hear, never mind. Nothing crazy. You can kind of figure out the gist. Super crazy single band, multi-band compression, bit crushing, EQing like this for some reason. And then I'm also exciting the high end, like I mentioned before, with the Maximus this time, because I just felt like doing that. When you make a song, do you just imagine it in your head first, or do you make it as you go? Well, it's always both. No, I feel like with every song, it's always both. It's rare that you have the whole thing in your head. And then you're just kind of like, and then like nothing changes from that vision from start to finish, you know? Because there's always like you're making something, and in the process of making something, it gives you an idea for something else, and then like that kind of changes the way that you see a certain part of the track, and then suddenly your idea changes. I can tell you that for this, I didn't have it. I didn't have the purgatory vocal for a very long time. The first vocal that I added was that Trippy Red vocal, which is why it doesn't even have a name. This is like the template. And I had the intro in my head. Like I knew I wanted to do that groove, dun 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 dun, you know, and like that melody. That was in my head. The Trippy Red vocal was in my head as soon as I like remembered it existed. And the Flux Pavilion thing was in my head because I knew that was another triplet thing that I wanted to like reference. And that's all I had in my head. The rest though, I had to like kind of wing, and I'll get into it when we get there. But yeah, Trippy's there, and then I'm like the entire time I am filtering in and like automating in this vocal that you can't hear. You know what I mean? Classic. Frequency shifter and, you know, just a fucking low pass filter. And that's these two down here. But if we take those out, I'm doing a little bit of shit here for the yogurt effect. Yeah, I got this shit and I call this shit the yogurt effect. Okay, so here's the yogurt effect. It's a wet dry split because it needs to be so that you can hear the original vocal. And the wet signal has all of the, oh my fuck me. Oh god. The wet signal has the patcher preset, which has all of the vocode stuff. One of which is a serum that I'm using as opposed to a harmless, which I normally would use, which is a lot more like lightweight, but it's fine. And so for this to work in a patcher preset, you have to send MIDI out using a MIDI out and specify a channel. In this case, I chose 8, and then you would have to go here, outputs, events, MIDI port 8 to have this one appear. And then if you have a patcher preset in a patcher preset like I do, this would go into the MIDI input of this patcher preset. Hold Alt and click to open this at the same time. For some reason, it's a lot fast. I like doing that as opposed to double clicking. I don't know. For some reason, also because you can't open 2 windows, but if you alt click, you can open both. Whatever. And so for this, I take port 8, I put it into the serum, which would put audio into the left ear. It's just a balance that I have. And then in the right ear would be the vocal, and then it goes into a vocoder, and then I just mess around with the settings. And I landed on this. You know, I fuck with the form, the bandwidth, which filter I'm using, how many bands I'm using, the scale, all of these things. But like, yeah, I personally am not a huge fan of Vocodex, but you can always just use Vocodex. And I use a patcher preset because if you don't use a patcher preset for some reason, which I think is the only way you should ever be vocoding, if you don't use a patcher preset, you have to fucking dedicate 3 tracks to that shit. One for the carrier, one for the carrier, one for the mod, and then one for the output, which is like, why do you fuck with Vocodex? Because it's so processed. I don't know. It like does so much, and also it's a very specific sort of sound, a very specific sort of sound geysery sound that is good in specific contexts, but I generally don't like that kind of sound most of the time. If I'm aiming for that sound and like I find myself in a case where I need to poke around in Vocodex to like achieve it, then I'll definitely use it. But like if I'm just raw vocoding something, I'm gonna use vocoder and then from there process it in the way that I want to process it. For this though, ironically enough, I wanted to use Sound Geyser because I just thought it'd sound way better without it, and then with it, it's very subtle, but it's there. Trust me. And then I have the dry coming in. Something broke. That's what happened. Okay, yeah. So I rarely use these fucking knobs because you can't like I don't know, you can't automate them. Like I'd rather just use a balance if I'm gonna like adjust the gain so that I can adjust it later and like visually see, and like, you know, you can right click and reset the knob. This you can't right click and reset. You can right click and mute like different like channels. I get it's useful, I guess, but like not really, but whatever. I have the dry turned down. So it's like blending and, you know, whatever. It's just getting compressed, multi-band compressed, bit crushed, EQ'd, de-essed, high-end excited, all this bullshit, and then made a little louder with that bullshit. cool. And then all the other stuff is just I think that's it. Oh yeah, and like all the risers. I love this fucking pitch drop thing because it just reminds me of yeah, 80 on my wrist, 100 on my wrist, 80 on my wrist, 100 on my. Look, I mean, when Lil Pump was popping, I was a hater. And this time I only fucked with XXXTentacion. But then, I don't know. I heard like Boss caught me at a good mood. And then I'm like, you know what? I get it. It's ignorant music. It's not meant to be anything like serious. I kind of get it. And then I just like, you know, opened my horizons to just like other like just rap in general, you know, and just taking it less seriously. But I attribute that to Lil Pump. And so I always think about that whenever I use this sound effect. The pitch drop one specifically. But this laser thing, I love making these. There's so many ways you can do it, but the way I chose this way was I have an LFO on no BPM and it's just off. There's no like envelope or whatever. And it's bipolar on the chorus pitch. Doesn't need to be. I just set it. I just set it to that because I don't know, whatever. And then I have this, which is a second LFO, also affecting the same one, but over the course of 4 bars. So it like, you know. And then I also have the LFO 2 affecting the LFO 1's rates. And then that's that. That's the bubble riser. I wonder, like, because like the thing is, you can just do this, and then it's a whole different sound. Like that sounds sick. Or like, and that also sounds sick. You could do a lot with a little. You could do a lot with a little. But like I'm sure you've heard a riser that sounds like that in your life. Update available? No, fuck you. Yeah, it's used a lot. It's used a lot like 2010s as well. Do I do cat? Not really, no. I say not really, but like I mean like no, like I've never done it and I don't really have an intention to. I don't really have an intention to answer the calls of Special K. Young Spencer Zimmerman. But I've heard many things, many good things, many odd things. You know, it's not. I don't think. Maybe I might try it at some point in life, but yeah. I'll stick to like weed and shrooms. You should definitely do drugs. I'll stick to like weed and shrooms. I don't know. I'm not really interested in pushing past that. I like my smoking and my psychedelics. I like drop the drinking because I don't know. That one just wasn't fun. I fucking saved. I got crap. Oh crap! I just changed the date modified. Okay, whatever. Anyway, I think that was the intro. I think that's literally everything that there is in the intro. That is possible, yes. And then it gets into the drop. Oh boy, breaking down the drop. This is gonna take fucking forever. Why is it just a... Oh wait, this is off. Shut up. Something's off. Literally, like some plugins are not turned on. Wait, can I still go to last reset? Fuck! Oh, okay, whatever. So it didn't get louder. If you're wondering why it sounds weird and like quiet, it should actually sound like... and that's because of the master. For this part, I am increasing the gain. Normally, it's like I have the gain at a certain point because I like mix the track a certain way, and then I would decrease it for like sections that aren't the drop. But for this, I'm like, no, I'm pushing the gain up. So that's gonna be very annoying to have to deal with when explaining this. But whatever. We can figure it out. In the meantime, please like the stream if you haven't already. I am begging. Let's hear the track as you have it so far. This is a completed track that is on my EP that I'm breaking down. Actually. Track 6, Purgatory. It's quite good. I think it's quite good. I like it. You know, it's got like a... That's too loud. Sort of section to it, you know, it's got like a sort of... section to it that I'm going over today for... I guess these streams are kind of for those who are in the know, which excludes those who aren't. But you know, you will soon know. It'll all make sense soon. Okay, yeah. So this is gonna be hard to describe a lot of this because I know that a lot of this is like just consolidated sounds. That I forgot how I made. So much for a fucking breakdown. Okay, the drums, are they basic as hell? Kind of. So like, I'm doing this thing, sometimes. Only twice, ever, in the entire job, which is really funny. Whatever. The snare, I don't know how I made this. I made it a while ago, though. I just use it because it sounds nice pitched down. It's fucked. Cool punchy transient, punchy attack. Clicky transient. It's like just a... one of those snares. And I decided to add like a... There's like a pre-shift in that I wanted to use for the snare. So it has like a whip to it. You know, it's kind of hard to explain. But just a little bit of like a whip to it, which I like. Kind of adds to it. That low pitch snare caught me off guard. Good, that's the point. Wake your ass up, because it's time to go beast mode. And the second half snare is like... Oh yeah, it's the art bass snare. Hell yeah. Forgot to use that. She like made a snare that had like a scale on the end. And I'm like, that's a cool idea. I know some friends who like do something similar. They just kind of like add notes after a snare and just use it as part of the snare because they're all like Daria heads. And I have this snare lying around that I love using. And I use the same pre-shift on it. So there's like a whip. It's very noticeable there. You know, and then I think I changed to some other shit. Yeah, I use the impact of the punchy pierce, which sounds really nice. I love that sound. And I have this, quite frankly, like not that great of a snare. It's just lying around, so I just kind of, you know, combine and then add that little like pre-shift. Sounds super cool. Nice little tight snare. That's not supposed to sound like that at all. Why? Is that because of this? I didn't notice it sounded like that at all. Wait, no. That's because of the filtered and mixed level. Yeah, that's a... Is that what it sounds like in the final track? No fucking shot. I refuse to believe. Yeah, you can't actually hear it. That's so funny. You're supposed to be able to hear that reverb fucking... That reverb, the reverb, reverse snare. What? Fucking... I'm gonna shoot myself. Like that. But I just kind of like messed it up. Like I added this automation clip over here, which just kind of broke everything. But it don't matter. Okay, so the actual drop time. Bass is important because it's a big part of why the drop sounds so cool. So for the impacts, I'm doing a little pitch bend. Obviously, you can kind of hear that. I figured, all right, let's be cooler. So I gotta like pitch bend and stuff. Pitch bending equal cool, which it does. It's a bit more effort than not doing it. So, you know, I figured I would, sort of thing. You know, but I won't get too deep. So this bass, I think it's the same that I always use all the time. The impact on the coarse pitch on the thingy and the distort and the thingy, and then I put this on the thingy, and then I EQ it like this, and then I do like that. That's it. Now the bass is here. This I think is the exact same thing, except there's no real like attack because I'm wubbing the basses. Hi Stoxies. Welcome to breakdown. I'm sorry. Right, and I just used that for the web bass throughout the entire drop. And then I have this. No, this. I don't even know what this is actually. It's some wavetable that is moving at some point. I was using the detune, I'm not anymore. And the level is being automated as well as the cutoff at the same time as the level and the sub level as well. There are effects here for some reason. There's a hyperdimension, there is an OTT, there is an all pass phase, and there is more high passage happening. I wonder what happens if I get rid of all this. Interesting. Okay, well there you go. Homosexual bread, what is your favorite car? I don't know. I mean, it used to be like the Evo 8s. But like I'm kind of like, you know, just broadening my horizons. You know, I don't know what gives me a soft spot for rally though. I don't even like watch it or like consume much of it. I watch more like F1. You know, but yeah, like I love me a good golf, you know, hard to hate. Fun to kid out. But I like me a good Porsche too, just because of like, you know, the Marvel engineering. Like they're just good cars. You know. But like then there's like certain like alphas that are just like porn. You know what I mean? Like you're not even meant to drive them. But yeah, whatever. This is like fill stuff. So I guess this won't even make sense unless surrounded by everything else. Which is kind of lame. So I use that like growl layer that I just described throughout the entire thing. I don't really change it. Oh, actually, I should mention here. There is a there's like two halves to each sort of. It's like a 1-2 kind of thing, right? So fill and then the second part, which has a bit more of a wideness thing, just because I have another layer here doing a super saw with a fifth, 2 octaves apart, distorted, with a high pass on it. Whoa! A high pass, but like kind of a hump at 100 for the sake of like that low mid sort of width, filth, and whatever. Nice, cool. And that's kind of playing throughout. And then to complement that, I have all of this shit happening. So this color zappy thing, I don't even know how to explain how I made it. What's the second part even sound like? Oh, is there no second part? Why is it not playing? Oh, it just like loops. Wait, what? Wait, whoa, hold on. What is this then? What is over here? Oh. Oh, oopsies. Oh, it's just the whole thing. I'm fried. Okay, cool. So I can tell you that the chord stack is really big. It's not this. The chord stack is I can probably find it somewhere. Impact, block rail, another layer. Color Geck? I think it's called Color Geck. I don't know. Or is it Chordism Yeats? Oh no, it's Chordism Yeats. Okay. So I know that like the 1-2 sound is I used this same glass sound as earlier, but the way I vocoded it, or like the process was the same. It's just the choices made leading up to it. Like I might have, altered the chain a little bit. I don't know how. Like just literally changing the knobs in the vocoder gives you such a different result that could be it. I might have changed the pitch of the glass knocks before it hits the vocoder, which completely changes like the quality of of the output, to all the overtones, the quality of it, like what rings out, what resonates. But I know that I just did like 2 chords, so like it would like go and da 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 and just do that. And then for the second one, what? I literally just changed the bass note, but I ended up not changing the bass note when wait, no, this can't be right. No, I'm so confused. Okay. So the FL keys is right. Like I changed the bass note in the FL keys for the chord, but for some reason in the MIDI output, I don't change any of the chord at all, which can't make any sense because the chord changes. Like clearly. Oh, fuck off. Why'd I have to relearn how this was made? Whatever. But it was basically just 1-2, and then I would just increase the octave of like certain notes as it would progress. And like that's the one layer. I remember that layer took me so long. Just to like nail. Cause that's what it sounds like. Like you can hear. Like I increased the octaves of the chords so that, it just kind of, or the octaves of certain notes in the chords so that it sounds like it's, like getting higher, but I'm not really changing the notes except for the bass notes. And then with this, Like that's the output of what got vocoded. I think I just took that and instantly rendered it out because I knew it would get laggy. And even then it's still laggy. So from there, I took a convolver that had white noise, also high MZP chronicle. I took a convolver that had white noise, and made it really short so I could just give it like a nice little like stereo. But it sounds still fucked and distorted. Don't worry about it. And then I do all this processing. I have to gain stage the hell out of it. So like I just decrease the gain like hella before it gets compressed. Hey old man, I'm an old woman, but like close enough. Multi-band compression, it's not very aggressive. It's usually a bit more aggressive, but like this time it's just kind of like touching up like what's already there. You're right, hey old lady. Hello. I'm taking out all the 300 for some reason. I don't know why. That's why. It just sounded very cuppy. 500. Oh, I can't undo what I just did. Okay. Ah, fuck off. Yeah, more or less. And that's how it sounds. It's really fucking distorted and really loud. But whatever. And then I'm layering that with some saws. You know, what is this? This is track 6 on an EP that I just released. Genre, it's more like hyperflip, kind of like let me just play the fucking. So I'm breaking down a drop which sounds like this. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, and it's a big project, so it's a lot to talk about. I'm just going over like the sound design behind like the main sort of color. Getting that out of the way, the main arrangement, and then I'm going over the fills because that's kind of half of what makes it sound unique. Otherwise, it would just sound like just very static. So if I like got rid of all the fills, let's say, there's still some. It's like trying to fill. It's just not, you know, but there's a lot happening that's like going in the middle. Like I'll just go over like this at the end. Also, hi Kastrovich. Welcome to the stream. I layer in a noise and then a laser with every single like triplet. Because if it wasn't there, it's hard to hear, but there would be no like impact with each sound. That's kind of everything, really. And then there's a fill here. Don't worry about it. Fill, and then fill. And then for this section, I do like a Among Us guy in a corner is tweaking the fuck out. This is the second person who thinks it's the Among Us guy. Which is really funny. It's just not. So it's crazy. This little bendy saw thing. What's it connected to? Is it this? It's not the Among Us guy? No, this is the Among Us guy. This is not a blue GIF. I see where your confusion lies. But one is actively tweaking, and one is tweaking as a result of something. If that makes sense. I hope that helps distinguish the two. So this bendy saw is being controlled by peak controller, which I have here on the super saws. So I'm a fucking nerd, and I use peak controller sometimes. And I wanted the saw to follow like that LFO, but like basically exactly as the saws played them, as the super saws played them. Dude, it's literally the Among Us guy. You can't tell me otherwise. They have the same face, same glasses, and everything. They don't have the same face, or the same skin color, or the same glasses. It's just a stretched, low resolution GIF. I can tell you it's not the Among Us guy, but I can't tell you why. And the answer is no, it's not me. If I looked like that, I would shoot myself. But maybe you are tweaking. But yeah, so I would take the peaks of the saws, and they're all like chopped off like that, the peaks, because I use a ghetto clip, which is just a nice way of clipping audio and just kind of like chopping it right where I want it. Which is, yes, it's the same thing as a clipper. It's the same thing as like chopping it off, like using a wave shaper. But this has a knob and you can like see it happen, so it's funnier. But it allows you to control fruity balance. You know. But otherwise the sound itself is just a super saw that's been like processed to death with the ring mod, distortion, a little bit crush sweep, and a filter sweep. No wait, that's it. The bit crush sweep is the only sweep. I'm stupid. And like distortion, like EQ. All the clickiness is the project lagging. By the way, it's like, it's just huge. Also, I should definitely remove that preview. But yeah, so shut up. All right. So then I'll go over the fills for the first half, because in the second half it's only slight variations, with another acapella playing over it. So the fills, they all can't happen in one section, meaning like it all can't just be melody, it all can't just be bass. They all have to kind of like talk to each other. All the sections, and they have to get along. Like the first thing I'm doing, like, this is like a whole, like, this is like two fills back to back, basically. So this thing, I don't even know, like, I think I had like some sort of color-based fill that I made. I forgot how. And I just kept on like dragging a spectral gate like back and forth as the sound would loop, and then I like landed on something that sounded nice, like a swoop in sort of. I don't know. Kind of swoops into it. But it's just like a everything's triplet for this section, so it's like if I'm in 6-beat groove it makes more sense. It's like it's all just 1 2 3 1 2 3. You know? The kick on 3 and then snare. So it goes basically like these two might as well not exist. These two little sounds might as well not exist. So it goes snare, sample, and then the square thing that I have. I don't even know like why this is all here. But this is like some random fucking Zave stolen ass, whatever. Oh yeah, by the way, dumb question. Oh boy, can't wait. Where do you get your samples from and how do you make them? Like the one Katy Perry sample in Corsa. That's called looking up Last Friday Night Acapella on the YouTube search bar. For that specifically. The internet. I don't know. You can look it up. Now, the reason why I say look it up for that is because I would normally, if you asked me like about an acapella for a song that's like released recently, like a hyperpop song or something, I would tell you to do it yourself or figure out a way. Like how do you rip vocals? I know FL Studio has their own FL Studio like 20 and above has their own in-house vocal ripping thing like that you can do in FL itself, which is really cool. I don't use it, and it's only one algorithm. And the algorithm you choose determines how good the rip will be, and certain algorithms perform better on certain sounding songs, and it takes a certain amount of trial and error. But if you want like a standalone software to use it, to do it with, I have something called Ultimate Vocal Remover. There was a website I used to use called mvsep.net, like MVSEP, MVSEP. But like, I don't know what model I used, but it was like immaculate. It was really good. Or at least it was cleaner than any of the stuff that I could get at the time because I was just using Spleeter, which was like the OG or one of the OGs. But like, yeah, this is like what I use. It's a little cumbersome, but basically you can choose the algorithm and like how to handle it. All this stuff you can like toy around with if you want to like fine tune the sound, and like if you want to download more modes, you would have to go to the settings. Then you would have to go to download center. There we go. And then, select whichever one at a time. And basically you would go here whenever they release a new model, you'd find it here. Or you can manually download models too. But that's how I manually rip vocals. If I need to manually like rip a vocal. But if it's like, if you're finding a vocal for an old pop song, here's the swag, here's the sauce that they don't tell you about, that most of these hyperflip kids don't even fucking know about because they're too young. All right. Back in my day, which is not that long ago, maybe like 2018, I started making FL music on FL in 2017, and by 2018, I was already like taking vocals from pop songs and like putting them over whatever the fuck, And I realize, or you realize after doing this, you can just look up. A lot of people will have done it for you. They will have either ripped the vocal themselves, like back then, by like somehow procuring the instrumental or something, and like just reversing the polarity and isolating the vocals that way. Doing it manually through like spectral editing, like wave editing, and like it's fucking. I don't know. It's to me it's voodoo, but it yields pretty good results generally. Sometimes you get a result that's like it sounds like it's studio. Sometimes you get a result that's like the holy grail where it's like a dry vocal, it's no processing at all, so you can do it all yourself. Sometimes you get a real holy grail where it gives you all the stems, like just straight up all the stems. So like the main vocal, the background vocals, some of the instrumental stems, so you could like sample that. But like this shit is all on YouTube, and you're more likely to find success with like pop songs. But that's the sauce. Please like the stream. Right, so it goes impact, fill, actual part, and then I just have this little thing to like break up the part to make it not feel like it's playing for as long. And then it goes into the anyway, yeah. That's what it sounds like. Okay. So the way the sidechain is set up really helps the fills. The sidechain is like, I mentioned this really quickly right now because it's important. The sidechain is set to be 1/3 of the whole fucking beat, which is really funny. Which means I only have to worry about 2 of the 3 beats. 2 of the 3 beats whenever a drum sound's playing, because the drum accounts for the whole beat. So it's drum, piano, Porter Robinson chop. And then it goes kick, and then into... I'm doing like a bit of a layer here with That sounds like when you lose your rings. Okay, whatever. It's some pad that I have laying around that I EQ'd, and I layered it with one of those like super saw bases and an actual bass. And of course, there are still lasers here. Or it's actually the it's an undertale sound effect basically that has a high pass, a transient shaper, and an all pass phase, which gives it a clicky, lasery sound. Because normally it sounds like that, but I wanted it to, you know, be more impacty. So that's what the transient shaper does to that sound. You know, just gives it that, and then all pass phase gives it the zap. Awesome, cool, simple, and then it can act as like a layer that isn't quite the laser, but is basically serving the purpose of a laser to, you know, add to the fill. I have come for insight. I have returned from running away and being scared. Shirlea. What are you scared of? Curious. But yeah, like the fills are just kind of used to scared of hyperflip. All right, well, you're not really, you're probably just gonna get more general production sauce from this sort of stream, because as far as like actual generic hyperflip, like the laser kick stuff, the fucking, you know, the real referential things, the buzz kick, the weird fucking snare, like I don't do the tropey shit usually. I'm trolling I like your style. Gracias, thank you. I like my style too. It's why I make it. No, I'm joking. I hate my style. No, I'm joking. Not really though. I kind of don't like my style. Only because I think it can sound corny at times, but you flip that on its head and it sounds classic in a way because it's like a less is more sort of approach. It's slower than everyone's stuff. It's, you know, and more people from the scene are finding out about things, and so like you stack it up against like everything else, and it's like it's really its own sort of thing, which sounds cool. It's cool that it is its own thing, but nobody knows who I am. So, you know, a tree falls in the forest, yada yada, fucking whatever the hell. All right, cool. So the fills serve the purpose of maintaining the headbang and keeping the groove alive. This fill, this sequence of fills is nuts. It just is, you know, because it just doesn't stop until here. So it goes like fill, still a fill, and then like kind of a swoop into the next part. Like, so this thing is a very, very good idea if you don't already to make like mode pies and just very long audio files of shit. I mean, I have a friend. I say I have a friend. I watched this guy really in VC just fucking spend 30 minutes taking an audio file and spam clicking infiltrator presets and just rendering it on Edison, and then taking that audio file and spamming infiltrator presets and then running it on Edison, and like it's the most psycho shit I've ever seen, but like it yields great sound design results, you know. And so like finding a process for yourself is pretty cool. I don't have any of those one click make a whole fucking drop sort of like VSTs. So my mud pies aren't kind of like that, you know. My mud pies are a lot more like melodic. You know, FL Studio randomized function is also very useful. I mean, I had something like I had a mud pie that was like you can get a P controller to use like random values. I forget how though. It's like shape, I think, yeah, random. And then you have to like turn the volume up and then like the speed all the way down. You know, the problem is it steps between those volumes. It steps between those values. It doesn't like curve. but you can do that to like make random generators and like link them to knobs and stuff. But like this one is just like I will like make like I have like a really long like arp. That's it. It's just it's stretched to be really fast for no reason. You can make a curve. Okay, well I'm a fucking idiot. Oh, let me just like really quickly figure this out. There are only so many knobs. There are only so many knobs, and there are only so many knobs that actually fucking matter, because these don't, because it's just the LFO, right? So random, volume, ramp, question mark, speed, tension. When you right-click the knob to link, use the smoothing feature. Oh, that's different. Oh, that's different. Never mind. Okay, I see what you mean. Now let's look at the actual parameter. You link to. No, yeah, that's different. Never mind. I know what you mean though. Like you have to fucking if I wanted to do that link and then smoothing and all that. Yeah. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. But I gotta break this fucking shite down. So I just have I have this. I was gonna have it play out normally. You know. But kind of lazy. This part of the audio file actually took me so fucking long to find, because like, you know, with this sort of thing, you're like playing around, right? You're like, you know, and then I found that. I'm like, okay, well, that's the best one. And then sandwiched in between that is the Yes Sir bonk. Now, this is only funny to like a very, 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 very small group of people. The Yes Sir bonk is an inside joke because in the Minecraft Bedrock Edition community, there was a period of time at around 2021 when everyone was making like montages with edits in them. They weren't very good edits, you know. They were very trendy edits, like the same 4 or 5 effects, you know. But a song that everyone would use was Yes Sir by Rarin. It wasn't even that good of a song. I 100% bet most of these people never had this shit on their fucking playlist, but they just kept on using it. And the song starts with a... And so you hear it and you're like, God fucking damn it, it's Yes Sir! And it was like a shit post in the comm for a bit. I say it in the comm, but like, you know, it was like an inside joke between like a couple of friends. Like, it's a very, very, very small minority of people. But now I just have it lying around, you know. That war story turned into just a nice little sort of, you know, and I'm layering yet another square because I watched the Dylan Tallchief Virtual Riot tutorial when it came out, and my brain has never been the same since. I'm serious. I have 3 different squares in this drop. But that fill leads into what I call the slot machine. Oh, the side chain's activating. Let me like turn this off. It sounds Chinese almost because of the fact that it's pentatonic. It's just a pentatonic ascension. So it's literally, which is quote unquote like the Chinese scale kind of thing that people like to do as a joke. Like, you know, when you hit all the black keys and you ascend them and it's like, oh, we're in China now. That's what that is. You just played the pentatonic scale. And I just like add a minor third on top of it, which makes it sound, which doesn't help the Chinese allegations. I'll say that. But like it's a crazy way to introduce a snare. on the sidechain. Yes, the drums sound a little like dead right now. The master gain isn't on, I don't think. Oh, it is. It is on. Wait, what? What happened? Oh, it's actually just off. My fucking dumbass. There we go. Yeah. And then just kind of turn around to the next part with the same vocal that it dropped with for no reason. Because why not? We'll not play the whole thing because that's too easy. You know? And then it's again, if you're counting the beats, the actual drop starts on 4 every single time. The first 3 is just reserved for fill. So it's like 1, 2, 3. Da, da. Fill. That's how I'm doing the whole drop. I'm letting the first 3 whole entire beats be dedicated to just like, you know, the first beat is impact, unless it's not. And the rest is just fill. You know. So I just keep on spamming this dumbass Zave sound. I say dumbass because it's generic, as in like it's used a lot. It's cool sound. I just don't really, you know, it's used a lot. And then it gets into the lead, you know. And then it's kind of the same deal as before. You know, I got lazy, but because the audio file is so long, you're able to make it sound different. It's such a cool way to like. That's such a cool combination of notes, though. Like, ew. And like that note, especially in relation to the next chord, it's like such a weird. It's like it's the 6. Ew. Thank you for going so in depth into the arrangement. This is really cool to hear. I figured that's like what the breakdown is, because I can't go in depth into the sound design because that's not my strong suit. I just like be distorting shit. Like, Windows keeps on pestering me to updates, and I keep telling it no, but it keeps on insisting it needs to, and then it tries and it fails. Did I change the slot machine at all? I guess I wanted to, but then I ended up not. Cool. How do you do your like sub in EQing? I say, well, when you say end EQing, I feel like that's like a very vague addendum to the question. For the drop specifically, or at least in general, my sub is not like I'm not super surgical about like, you know, I have a really fat low mid layer, but like I kind of cut specifically 100 from it and like insert in like a sub. Like I don't do any of that shit. No, like my sub bass is as simple as I just have a very thick waveform. You like to keep the frequencies from clashing in the EQ. Don't be stupid. I don't know. No, I'm playing, but I'm not, because how do I explain this? I guess like clashing comes from a lot of different things. So it could be, you know, frequency masking, like 2 things playing the same notes at times and it shouldn't be. It can be like you have like a sub bass that's going underneath like some crazier bass. And there's like a weird sort of like unwanted like phasing, you know, blah, blah, blah. I can say like just, you know, a general advice is maximize consistency wherever possible, like making sure you keep your random all the way down. If you make anything that's mono at all, you know. Tonal drum elements are the most evil things in terms of mixing sub, I guess, but that's never been the case for me. I don't know, because for me, there's no, like, the way my tracks are mixed, there's no sub except for the sub. Like, unless, like, I have a sound where the intention is for it to distort by using, like, its natural, like, bass or whatever. Like, there's no sub except for the sub, and, like, you know, some drum sounds, but the only drum sounds that have low end are the kick and the snare that I use, and like maybe the laser, but the laser gets cut off at 100 anyway. It just has like a low mid like sort of punch. And the snare isn't playing when the bass is playing because my sidechain is so fat that like there's no possible way in hell there could ever be like clashing, just because one thing is making room for the other, like as efficiently as possible. Like straight up, the sidechain for this track in particular is a third of a beat long, you know, because otherwise it would sound weird. Otherwise the groove wouldn't be as locked in, you know. But like, not like making sure, like, because you kind of like with your drum sound you have like a hard limit to sidechaining, right? That's one thing to consider as well. Maybe your drums are too long, you know. This is why deadmau5 says shorten your fucking kicks. Maybe you got to do that. That could definitely help get a better sub signal, you know. I don't know. Eventually you figure out that you are overthinking it, but you have to think about it at least somewhat to understand what overthinking even is. You know, it's kind of weird. Like, you have to overthink to then learn what wasn't needed. No idea. It's hard to explain because it is case by case. It's very specific. My music is very different than most people's music. But that's how I go about it. Like if I have like a layer like this, for example, like this is just like what's understanding gotta be explained. Real spill the cruel guy jaw. That's what I'm saying. You know, but like, yeah. What do you do for fills? I fill. You don't try too hard. You try not to deviate too hard from the theme. I just saved by accident. This is not meant to be saved. It's a fucking breakdown of an FLP that's already finished. Depends on the track, but for this track I wanted to keep it melodic and, you know, keep it triplet, like sort of thing. And I only really reserved the vocal fills in this drop specifically for like those sections, and then I actually like use a vocal here. So I add in 2 vocals. I put Trippy Red back in the mix because he's been begging me to put him back in. It's lagging its nuts off. I know. I can't do anything about that. I'm sorry. Trust me, most of this shit is smart disabled. But the real focal point is fucking Oliver. And so for his vocals, for the part, to keep the song as choppy as possible, I'm literally every single word gets chopped. Unless it's playing alone. It's hard to hear, but like for this section, for example, like when the kick just comes in there, I do let the vocal play out, but then it goes back to being chopped. Sort of thing. You know, just so it blends back in, because it's not really meant to be like a vocal that's like super like front of the mix, meant to be heard, but just like add to the overall wall of sound that's happening. Just got here, but I saw it looks complex. It's a little bit. So for this part, what I'm doing is I'm just layering in more shit. So like I'm also layering in. I'm layering the glass thing from the intro, but like in a kind of a cooler way. Like here, like this is 42 and 43. Like I just kind of let the polyrhythm play, you know, in the background. Sort of thing. Oh, is it because like this shit also is still whatever? It doesn't matter. I don't care. Let that play in the background. The only thing that changes about the drop, besides the vocals, is the fills. something. It's not. There we go. Okay. This feels a little fucking stupid. So instead of just like 1 2 3 1 2 3, it's kind of like 1 2 double 1 2 3. So it's snare, and then the second one is just the second little hit in the sequence is just bass and a piano. You know, it goes snare, bass, and piano combination, and then a fucking. Because it's funny. And then this is just 1 2. I would have this bass play on. I guess I just don't. I don't even know what's supposed to be muted and what's not supposed to be muted. I forget. But this is just some sample that I have laying around. Some nice like. Ow! I'm sorry. Please like the stream though. That was so loud. That was actually so loud. Jesus fuck. Anyway, where is it? Call it nostalgia.
Come on.
I don't even know. Like, I just have that laying around. Some shit. I did. Just kind of layered it in. How did it get so loud? There's a lot of effects on it. I was gonna do so much with it. Like I was gonna have this be like a really long fill, and just kind of lead back into the snare, but I overcooked the idea, and so I just let Oliver do. I let Oliver do the talking instead. No wait, it's over here. Yeah. So this fill. Oh my god! Shut the fuck up. I mean, I'm just kind of fading in the vocal and just like chopping it. Usually whenever I get lazy and I can't think of a fill, I just use the vocal. You know, but for this, I use the I do this rarely where I take that, which is literally just a sine wave for the thing. I just tuned it, which at that point, I'm sure you're asking yourself, why not just use a fucking 3x oscillator? And to that I say, I don't know. But I layer it with a reverse kick, and so the distortion from the bass makes it sound grittier. So it sounds more like, as opposed to just like the sine wave. And then the drop plays on 4 like before, keeps for 1 2, but this time instead of a vocal, oh well, the vocal's still there actually. I kind of cut all the volume and then I let this piano just fade in, and then it explodes back in. I came here to escape trig, yet it haunts me. I thought I don't know. I always had fun doing trig in high school, but like I never really gave a shit. So. Like I would just not do any like it was there. Well, I was learning like advanced trig, like actual trig, and like fucking like in senior year, which is kind of it's normal pace, which is late for me. And so by then I'm like it's the middle of COVID. I'm sleeping during class. I don't give a fuck. But whenever I did have to do the work to like make it up, I did have a lot of fun doing it, and was one of the few people in class who like could wrap their heads around it without fucking math wing. This is before GPT was really taking over the schools too, so I really got the last chopper out of Nam. But we don't talk about it. So as the snares change for this part, I decide let's make the fills get a little stupider. Less clean, more just dumb-ass distorted tonal sound. And so I have this, like, bell that I'm just fading and panning. So it's like, you know what I mean? And I'll do the kick thing, I think. No, instead of doing the doo-doo, it just replaced it with another fucking... I figured that instead of doing the same thing I've been doing for the first half of the drop and the second half, if I'm gonna do that fill again, I'll do it with a different, like, sort of snare. It's been real. Join the Discord server and catch more of stream. Might catch me actually making music and not just talking about it. But it has been real. It's the same deal where I just like, I just play the kick twice and I can't think of a fill, so I just like use a vocal. But then it's my favorite fill in the world. It's such a good fill that I rendered it out as one. Most staff just hit the subscribe. Hell yeah. I say join the Discord because I think the subscribe button nowadays, that shit is fucking useless. YouTube does not give a fuck if you hit subscribe on a channel. It'll not recommend you shit. But like, you know, that's just my sales pitch. But this fill is fucking nuts. I just love that fill so much. You're right. You know, like, I'm just putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there. So this is literally just like I think I took 2 toms and just panned them right and left, or left and right. You know, and I got this. I named it in my files the micro perk. And I don't know why I didn't think to... Because I remember, like, back when I first started making beats, like, how fire of a sound this would be to use. But this sound doesn't play in computing. Like, it doesn't... Like, it's not a thing in Windows 10. Maybe in, like, Windows 7 it was. Like, I remember that's the sound it would make when you double-click an icon on the desktop. But yeah, it was nice. That sound was trendy. There was also like a I don't even know how to do it. Never mind. Forget it. Don't worry about it. Good fill. It's just fucking crazy. I just like it. I just like it. Okay, from here on out, the track should be significantly easier to go over. As you can tell... Oh, let's go. It went through. As you can tell, past the playhead, there is significantly less shit besides, you know, this. And before the playhead, there's just all of that stuff. So, without further ado, let's break down the breakdown. This one goes crazy because, like, the vocal. And let me explain why. So I had the... Basically, whenever I need to do a breakdown section, I just kind of, like, just bullshit out some saw ARP or some ARP of some kind and use an ARP that I made already and just add a Reese. And I was a bit intentional this time around when making the ARP, which is rare for me because I'm usually not. I usually just kind of, you know, put down something that sounds good and then move on. No, fuck off. No way, are they not default? No, okay. Why can't that? There we go. Control and like middle click and dragging down your mouse does that. So I made sure to do like a 1 2 3 1 2 3, like a halftime sort of triplet, like a waltz. because I just thought it grooved so well, you know, and I still think it does. Because when you're moving your head where the beats land, which is in between where the arp lands, it's dancing around you, and it feels very nice. But what's it called? So for processing, it's a very standard ARP, right? Very standard, you know, release on the fucking saw. How complicated could it possibly get? Bit crush, and what the fuck? Wait. Shirlaya, if you're scared of hyperflip, don't look now. You might uninstall all your DAWs after this. No, I'm playing. It just looks funny because I open it and it's just a patcher preset I've never seen in my fucking life. But it's not that complex, I'm pretty sure. So let's get into it. So it's called Shaperbox at Home. And if you have Shaperbox, you can probably figure out why I called it Shaperbox at Home. And you can see 2 gross beats and you kind of already know where things are going. So I'm doing a little wet dry split-age. I did the thing I talked about earlier where I used a balance instead of just using these knobs for the dry signal to like decrease the gain how I wanted it to. Because the wet signal will have like some phasing issues as I'm adding plugins to it, which adds latency, which will get it farther away from this signal. When they come together, they'll sound a little weird, and so I think I used the flipper, which basically just flips the polarity to mitigate that. There's lots of ways to flip polarity in FL Studio, but there's no way to flip the polarity inside of like as an effect in the track, you know. So I got this plugin called Flipper, which does that, and it's free. There's no button; you just add it and it just does it, and you won't be able to hear it if you add it alone because it's not really like whatever. And so the wet signal has that. It has this gross beat. You can like barely hear. You're not really meant to hear it that well. It's just like in the background. But that wet signal, it is. Damn, fucking sure Laya already left. Oh, stupid ass. I'm playing. So, I'm doing a little bit of. I'll just play this for now so you can hear only the wet. This is here as like a substitute to LFO tool. It's very weird. I'm using it. Awesome. Cool. Sounds nice. And then more EQ. And then a delay. Ooh. And suddenly it's complete, basically. Make it a little louder. It's a shame you don't get to hear that last chord. It's very pretty. But the delay that I use, normally I use triplet delay, but because it's already playing those triplets, I just use the 4 on the floor delay. So you still get that like gallopy. sounds so cool. I'm using the same ARP as before, and as far as actually making the Reese, I think it's very simple. I think it's like a... Yeah, basic Moog, octave apart, fifth up, German low pass with some drive. And I am applying this ghetto-ass saw bass fix thing that I use all the time. Non-linear filter to distort everything nicely. And a crazy looking EQ. Kind of roll off the sub frequencies a little bit, because I don't need all of that for a resection. It can come back in the drop. But this sounds particularly good because the vocal does basically exactly what I want it to. Like when I remember I had this part, I didn't have the vocal there yet, and I was walking on my way to work and I was listening to this part in my head. I was just replaying it, you know, as I do, and I'm like, what would go there? What is a vocal that is triplet flow? That sounds nice. And then Great Escape started playing, and then I started pogging to myself. And so I write it in the notepad instantly, and then I can't wait to get home, and I put it in. And then I put it in, pause, no pause, resume, actually, because like... No pause, because it fucks, if anything. So, but it's doing like... The emphasis of the beats of the vocal is like the 4 on the floor. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, basically right in between where the ARP is sitting. So the ARP now dances nicely around the vocal, and you're like subtly like bobbing your head to the vocal to some extent, I'd imagine. Because why the fuck wouldn't you? I think listening to that part and just sitting still in your chair completely is interesting. I have failed as an artist, if that's the case. But I just kind of let that rock. And I do a little, like, you know, a little fancy schmancy with the vocal. It's nothing crazy. You know, like the compression that I generally do. The fucking Christ. The multi-band compression that I generally do to like squash and bring out the high ends. I EQ'd it a little bit, and then I de-essed it a little bit. And I made it louder and added delay, and then I EQ'd it again. That's basically it. Now this build-up is like magical, because I wanted to use Cooler Than Me, just the song, you know, but I never got to use the song. But then I'm like, I'll just fucking use the lead, so I just start EQing that lead in. But I think the real star of the show here is all these vocals that are coming in. I love whenever I create medleys like that. So like... I'm gonna get claimed. But I moved the words, like this is a rendered out version of the acapella, but like I moved the lyrics to be triplet. So like, actually I'll play it, but with the Reese and like the build up snares. So you can like understand like what I mean. Time, baby, I'll be bulletproof. This time, baby, I'll be bulletproof. So it fits in the triplet like groove, along with everything else. You know, and I'm EQing in the Great Escape vocal, which I use as like the centerpiece for the drop. I wanna get away. Because it's so good. But we'll get there. I layer in a nice little sound, which is like a... I call it spectral shmurda because I know the bubble up sound effect as the Bobby Shmurda, and the bubble up sound effect is that one. But these vocals are really good. It's just a nice vibe. I mean, it's euphoria for the second drop, so I want to really sell that, you know. And part of that is by starting off the build up with one of these, but pitched properly. Yeah, literally, it's the Cocoa Riser, exactly. And then I use the same risers as before. And then to really like, you know, the drop is just 100 gex stomp because I got lazy. And then I did the reverb thing with the lead. And then it's the second drop, or yeah, it's the second drop. Now this drop is so simple. It's gonna be so easy to break down. Cause it's literally just it's hard style, like, or kind of, it's raw style, or it's okay. So it's very simple. So I apparently rendered out the saw patch. You know, which is cool. Whatever. But the star of the show, really. Let me show you how I made this filthy ass lead. So it's a 2-layer, and yes, it is basically a super saw with extra steps. Now let me explain. So we have a couple of things that are moving right now. So I'm gonna turn the filter off and this off as well. So it's just the basics, like a sort of super saw. I'm not using any of the AM. This is it's a vibration saw. So like as the note holds on for longer, it'll vibrate. It's one of those. So that there's that happening, which is basically like this controls the fine tune of both of these at a bipolar, and the rate is whatever this is. And LFO2 is acting as the auxiliary source for those. And it's on an envelope. So it re-triggers every time a note plays. And then this is slowly moving the sync and the wavetable position to get that like slow movement. And then I do that with the French low pass as well, but like subtly. You know, which is most of the sound. That's most of the character of the sound right there. I use this ring mod, which is like a preset that I just kind of made for myself, which I use specifically on leads, because it adds like a very weird digital sort of quality to it. Like a slate ring, which I just think sounds cool. EQ to bring all those highs back in, make it louder. Okay, cool. And then reverberate it and use duck because it sounds cooler that way. So now there's that like bit of reverb that plays whenever nothing's playing, which is nice. Lower the gain a little bit for some reason because I put a sound geyser on it. Awesome. And then I EQ it again. And then I put delay on it. On 1/4. And then this is the filter that I use to filter it in. And then that's like that lead. Now, I have this being a little distorted and a little EQ'd. And also a little layered. This is basically the same thing, but I'm using a German low pass as opposed to a French low pass, and I'm using some FM, as well as the wavetable position in the sync on the higher layer, which creates a nice and I do a fucking harmonization later, which is like so loud. I don't even know how the audio file didn't blow up. I love harmonizing leads like that, but it's like really loud, so it's like hard to tell. But the star of the show, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, yeah, there's the vocal. You know, nice, great. But let's get into what we're all here for. Okay, so let's explain. So what I'm doing here is, I wanted to give this talk the illusion of reverb. So I think I like literally did that. I gave it reverb and I split the audio file. And I processed them separately. Like I gave this sidechain and this went through no sidechain. But I think this is... that talk is from a homemade, it's from a homemade hardstyle kick that I cannot find. Maybe if I go here, I don't think it was that one. But it's somewhere around here. But I just took a talk and then added a tail. And then I added the bass. Hi, Zyth. So the bass is like... Literally, I just got from some fucking pack. Like, it's kind of cheap of me to do like a hardstyle section and just like get it from a hardstyle pack. But I made sure to make it... to make it my own. So what I did... Ugh, I love that. I added a bass clipper into the bass itself after adding a plugin called Crisp. Now, Crisp just basically adds noise, but like according to the waveform. And so to the bass, it just adds a nice little layer of grit, and then I can take that layer of grit and distort the bass into the layer of grit that I just created. So it's like a nice bass with noise, and then I just EQ it, you know. And that's it for the bass. Like I'm sidechaining it, but you can barely tell. Like it's kind of like not meant to be audible. Well, I mean, let me get the fucking gun cocks in here. This is from Smash Melee, by the way. Awesome. And then there's this section, which is basically I did some weird like safe and sound like raw style flip that sucked ass, but that kick sounded nice, so I just stole it. And you can absolutely tell that part's being sidechained because I purposefully used the harder sidechain for that part because it's a dumber sound, and so I want there to be more of a juxtaposition, and so it sounds harder when you justify the sound being dumber by carving even more space for it. You know. But now let's like add everything back in. You know, the second half is just a medley of everything that's already been in the track. So I'm not everything actually. If it was everything, it would be way too fucking loud to hear anything. But I'm adding in the bulletproof vocal. You can barely just hear that in the background, and the turbo red vocal. You can barely hear that in the background too. All the vocals kind of have like an equal weight in terms of your like what you're listening to and like what you can focus on. And so like it's very easy for you to like as you're listening to this crazy part to like shift attention to each of the different vocals and the elements, you know, just trying to focus on something. What kind of adds to the craziness in a cool way though, like in an intentionally meant to get lost sort of way. You know, like it doesn't sound like a vocal was trying to make space for itself, but then it just started drowning. No, it sounds intentional, which I like. Intentional. And now for the moment that Kirby's ass has been waiting for. It's still a crazy nuts fill. I can't hold you. So I knew that the way that I had this fill plan was I had a couple of things solved. Ow. Now the things that I had solved. Now let me explain what I mean by solved. Let me like actually get rid of this and this so that I know it's a mute. So I had that and that solved. That much I had solved, basically. Where I knew I was gonna end it with a boom, boom, and add like the X-Gen Studios sound effects. But as far as what to do, I just like I was lost. But then I remember like, okay, I just need fighting sound effects, and I remembered that Brawlhalla has good sound effects for fighting. And so I came across this, which is actually a Brawlhalla mod pack, like a showcase for a sound pack, which is meant to like have cooler sounds or something. You know? But like I heard that first sound, I'm like, okay, well that's this part. You know? I know this is the weapon get sound. This one right here. You know? And then I'm like, okay, I need to find like a whip and a click. Which I did. So I have that now. Actually, I didn't even find the click. I just put the hit marker there because I got lazy. You know, so I'm like, okay, I have this. And I just need 2 more ticks to like solve the whole thing and complete it. So I just reused the gun cock from earlier. Yeah, and that's it. And that's the fill. Super crazy. And then I ended off with the XGen Studios opening sound effects. This thing with a delayed crash. Because it sounds cool. And then I used the same Reese as the breakdown, but to make it not sound the same, I mean, well, actually, the purgatory vocal wasn't even being used during that section, so it doesn't sound the same as anything. But either way, to give this section more flavor, I decided to add some guitar. The only problem with the purgatory vocal is that it's not like in triplets. That was the only gripe, because this is like kind of a lazy outro. But like whatever. And then for the trippy red, I added the reverb thing. And then I made a new patcher preset. Which is just an EQ and a reverb. And yes, I do end it off with just fucking bit crushing, because I'm lazy. And then I have the kid getting hit by some unarmed combo. That's what this is. Boom. Okay. Holy shit. That took me 2 hours and 22 minutes. Almost a full hour longer than I thought it would. But yeah, I mean, this was probably my most like in-depth, one of my most in-depth tracks. The only other breakdown that took this long was Mascot. That's because it was 3 fucking drops. But damn. Okay, well, are there any questions, perchance? Is there anyone here besides Kuriazaz who's still awake and watching this? I know the people who would have questions already like left. And they're probably just gonna like watch the VOD later. Damn, somebody really said my style is refreshing. It's kind of the shit I live for. I'm gonna stroke myself off over that. I don't care. I finished something on mine and you're about to sleep? Fuck yeah, I'm about to sleep too then. Alright, well. I hope you all enjoyed. And you know, I'll be back tomorrow for regularly scheduled tomfoolery. I don't even know what I'm gonna stream, but I'll figure it out. Yeah, thank you for tuning in. It's been real, and I'll see you tomorrow, midnight. Be there or be square.